Have you ever felt like you're speaking a different language in your relationship? You're pouring your heart out, investing your time and energy, only to find yourself met with cryptic responses or behaviors that leave you second-guessing everything. Relationships can be complex, but there's one undeniable truth. Not all signals should be ignored. Many of us fall into the trap of thinking, "She didn't really mean it," or "Maybe I'm just overreacting." Sound familiar? Let me tell you something. The little things, those passing comments, the subtle digs, the repeated behaviors, they matter. They reveal more about your relationship's health than grand gestures ever will. You're here because you're ready for change, because you felt that gnawing sensation in your gut telling you something's off. Today, we're going to break down the top 10 phrases women might say that are not just words, they're signals, red flags, and warnings that should never be taken lightly. Each one is a thread in a tapestry of unhealthy dynamics, and by the end of this journey, you'll be equipped to see them clearly and act decisively. But here's the kicker. This isn't about blame or pointing fingers. It's about you, your self-respect, your emotional health, your time. You'll walk away from this with a newfound sense of confidence, clarity, and the wisdom to demand the kind of relationship you deserve. Are you ready? Let's dive in. 1. You're cheating. The classic accusation. You're cheating. At first glance, this might seem like a product of insecurity or paranoia, but let's dig deeper. What does it feel like to be accused of something you know you haven't done? It's frustrating, right? But more than that, it's exhausting. Accusations of cheating without evidence are more than just unfair. They're damaging. They plant seeds of doubt, erode trust, and create a constant undercurrent of suspicion. Imagine coming home after a long day, looking forward to unwinding, only to face questions like, "Where were you?" or "Why didn't you answer my text right away?" It's not just invasive, it's suffocating. Why does this happen? Often it stems from unresolved past trauma or a lack of trust in themselves. Maybe they've been hurt before, or maybe their own insecurities are projecting onto you. But here's the critical question. Is that your burden to carry? Stoicism teaches us to focus on what's within our control. Can you control her trust issues or her past experiences? No. What you can control is how you respond and what boundaries you set. The philosopher Epictetus reminds us, first say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. If you value honesty and trust, your actions should reflect that. But the same must be true for her. Here's a harsh truth. Repeated baseless accusations aren't about you. They're a reflection of her internal struggle. While it's natural to want to reassure and comfort your partner, there's a line where reassurance turns into enabling unhealthy behavior. Constant accusations chip away at the foundation of any relationship: trust. Consider this scenario. You've done everything right. You're transparent, communicative, and faithful. Yet, no matter what you do, the accusations persist. Over time, this dynamic forces you into a defensive position, where every action is scrutinized. How can you thrive in such an environment? The reality is you can't. Ask yourself, do I feel trusted in this relationship? Am I being forced to prove my loyalty constantly? Is this pattern of behavior draining my emotional energy? If the answers are troubling, it's time to reassess. Healthy relationships are built on mutual respect and a shared commitment to grow together, not on one partner constantly playing the role of the accused. Now, don't get me wrong, communication and reassurance are crucial. But when the scale tips too far, when your every move is questioned, it's not just a communication issue anymore, it's a trust issue. And if trust cannot be rebuilt after open conversations and boundary setting, you have your answer. At the end of the day, love without trust is like a ship without an anchor. It will drift aimlessly, tossed around by the smallest waves. Don't allow yourself to be trapped in a relationship where you're constantly made to feel guilty for something you haven't done. You deserve better. What's your experience with handling accusations in a relationship? Share your thoughts below. Let's start an honest conversation about trust, boundaries, and self-respect. 2. Obey main. Control is a delicate issue in any relationship. What starts as small requests can quickly spiral into full-blown control if left unchecked. When she says, "Obey me," or subtly demands that you sacrifice your autonomy to please her, you must pause and reflect. Is this love, or is this control disguised as care? At first, it might seem harmless. She asks, "Why don't you spend less time with your friends?" Or insists, "I don't like you doing that hobby." You might think, she just wants more of my time. That's natural, right? But then the requests become more frequent, more demanding. Suddenly, you're choosing between your passions, your friends, and her approval. What's really happening here? Control. It's not about love, it's about dominance. Love flourishes in freedom, not in restrictions. Epictetus said, "Freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control." You should never feel like you must surrender your independence to maintain peace in a relationship. Let's explore a scenario. You've planned a weekend with friends, something you've looked forward to for weeks. She says, "If you cared about me, you'd stay home with me." It's manipulative, right? It positions her needs as superior to yours, guilt-tripping you into compliance. The result? You're constantly walking on eggshells, afraid to make decisions that might upset her. Relationships should empower, not imprison. Ask yourself, am I still pursuing my hobbies and interests freely? Do I feel guilty when I spend time away from her? Is she supportive of my friendships and personal growth? When control replaces mutual respect, the relationship becomes a cage. You might stay thinking it's your duty to make her happy, but here's the truth. Happiness cannot be forced or controlled. A healthy relationship respects personal freedom while nurturing shared experiences. Have you noticed these signs of control in your relationship? It's time to set firm boundaries. Communicate openly about your need for independence and evaluate her response. If she respects you, she'll listen and adjust. If not, the relationship may not be built on the mutual respect you deserve. 3. It's always about her. Picture this. You've just achieved something incredible, a promotion, a personal goal, or even a small victory that means the world to you. You're brimming with excitement, ready to share your joy with your partner. But instead of sharing in your happiness, she redirects the conversation. "That's great, but you'll never guess what happened to me today." Suddenly, your moment is overshadowed. Does this sound familiar? When every conversation or situation becomes centered around her, it's a sign of emotional imbalance. Relationships are a two-way street. You both deserve to feel seen, heard, and valued. But when it's always about her, it leaves you feeling invisible. Think about it. How often have you set aside your emotions to cater to hers? How often have your triumphs been downplayed, your struggles dismissed? It's exhausting. Stoicism reminds us to find balance in all things. As Epictetus teaches, we have 2 ears and 1 mouth, so that we can listen twice as much as we speak. A relationship rooted in Stoicism emphasizes empathy and mutual celebration of each other's milestones. Now let's flip the perspective. Have you ever felt unheard? Have you tried to share something important, only to be met with disinterest or a quick pivot to her own concerns? It's not just hurtful, it's demeaning. A partner who truly values you will prioritize your emotions just as much as her own. Let's consider the effects of this behavior. You begin to suppress your own emotions and victories. Resentment builds as your needs are consistently overlooked. The relationship becomes a cycle of one-sided emotional labor. A healthy partnership thrives on reciprocity. Both partners must actively invest in each other's emotional well-being. It's not about keeping score, it's about creating a safe space where both of you feel valued. Here's your takeaway. If she constantly prioritizes herself over you, it's time for a conversation. Set boundaries and express your need for mutual respect. If she's willing to listen and change, there's hope. If not, it's time to reassess. Do you resonate with this struggle? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Let's discuss how mutual respect can transform our relationships. And while you're here, show your support by liking this video. It helps spread these powerful lessons to others who need them. 4. I'm busy right now. We've all been there. You reach out to your partner, hoping to share a moment or seek comfort, only to be met with, "I'm busy right now." At first, it seems understandable. Life gets hectic, right? But when this becomes a recurring theme, when every attempt to connect is met with excuses, it's time to pay attention. What does it mean when someone is perpetually too busy? In a healthy relationship, even the busiest individuals find ways to prioritize their partner. Whether it's a quick text, a short call, or carving out time amidst a chaotic schedule, genuine effort shines through. But when her busyness becomes a wall, it signals a deeper issue: avoidance or indifference. Here's the truth. If someone values you, they make time for you. It's that simple. Yes, work, personal obligations, and self-care are important, but consistently sidelining the relationship raises an important question. Where do you really stand in her life? Let's think about balance. Ancient Stoic philosopher Seneca once said, "We are more often frightened than hurt, and we suffer more from imagination than from reality." This reminds us to assess situations rationally. If she's truly overwhelmed, her actions should reflect an attempt to manage both her life and the relationship. But if the excuses continue without any effort to reconnect, you're left with a relationship in name only. Ask yourself, does she ever initiate time together, or is it always you? When she says she's busy, does she follow up later to check in? Does her behavior suggest that maintaining the relationship is a priority? There's a difference between being busy and being uninterested. A partner who truly values you will find ways to make the relationship work, no matter how packed their schedule is. If she doesn't, it's time to confront the reality. Maybe she's just not as invested as you are. Now, how do you handle this? Start with an honest conversation. Express how her busyness affects you and ask for clarity on where the relationship stands. If her response is defensive or dismissive, it may confirm your fears. But if she listens and makes an effort to adjust, there's room for growth. In the end, relationships thrive on mutual effort. If one partner consistently prioritizes everything else over the relationship, it becomes an uphill battle. Don't settle for being an afterthought. Your time and emotional investment deserve to be met with equal dedication. 5. You're being too sensitive. Few phrases are as dismissive as, "You're being too sensitive." It's a simple sentence, yet it carries immense weight. Why? Because it invalidates your feelings, reducing your emotional experiences to an overreaction. In a healthy relationship, emotional safety is paramount. When a partner trivializes your feelings, they're effectively telling you that your emotions don't matter. Imagine this. You muster the courage to share something that hurt you, a joke that went too far, a comment that struck a nerve. Instead of an apology or understanding, you're met with, "Come on, it was just a joke. Don't be so sensitive." How does that feel? Probably isolating, maybe even humiliating. Let's break this down. Emotions are complex and deeply personal. What might seem trivial to one person can be deeply impactful to another. The key to a thriving relationship is empathy, acknowledging and respecting each other's emotional landscapes. When she brushes off your feelings, she's failing to meet you halfway. Stoicism, once again, offers guidance. As Epictetus teaches, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. This wisdom encourages resilience, but it doesn't mean you should tolerate emotional invalidation. Resilience in relationships involves standing firm in your boundaries and advocating for mutual respect. Consider the patterns. Does she often dismiss your feelings with comments like, "You're overreacting"? Are your emotional needs consistently minimized or ignored? Do you feel safe expressing vulnerability, or do you fear being labeled as too sensitive? If these questions resonate, it's time to reevaluate. Emotional invalidation isn't just a minor annoyance, it's a red flag. Over time, it erodes your confidence and makes you question your own perceptions. No one should have to suppress their emotions to keep the peace. So what's the solution? Start by setting boundaries. Let her know that dismissing your feelings isn't acceptable. Healthy relationships are built on mutual validation and understanding. If she values the relationship, she'll work to change this dynamic. If not, you must ask yourself, am I willing to stay in a relationship where my emotions are consistently disregarded? Let's keep the conversation going. Have you experienced emotional invalidation in a relationship? How did you handle it? Share your stories in the comments below. Your insights could help someone else navigating a similar situation. And don't forget to like this video if you're finding these insights helpful. 6. Pointing out flaws. Constructive criticism is an essential part of any relationship. It helps us grow, pushes us to improve, and strengthens the bond between partners. But there's a line between constructive feedback and constant criticism. When she frequently points out your flaws without offering support or encouragement, it's no longer about growth, it's about control and superiority. Imagine this scenario. You've just completed a challenging task, one that you're proud of. Instead of acknowledging your effort, she says, "You could have done it better if you just listened to me." Or maybe you're excited about a new outfit, and her response is, "That doesn't really suit you." Over time, these seemingly small comments add up, chipping away at your self-esteem. Let's pause here and reflect. How often do you feel uplifted by her words? Do her comments inspire you to improve, or do they leave you questioning your worth? A healthy relationship creates a space where both partners can thrive. Stoicism teaches us to focus on our internal virtues and remain unaffected by external judgments. As Seneca said, wherever there is a human being, there is an opportunity for kindness. In a relationship, kindness is the foundation of personal and mutual growth. Now consider the emotional impact of constant criticism. You start doubting your abilities and choices. You seek her approval more than your own self-validation. You feel as though you can never meet her expectations, no matter how hard you try. This dynamic is toxic. A partner should be your biggest supporter, not your harshest critic. Constructive feedback should come from a place of love and a desire to help you grow, not a desire to tear you down. How can you address this? Start by identifying patterns. Does she acknowledge your strengths, or does she only focus on your shortcomings? Next, communicate your feelings. Let her know how her words affect you. If she's open to change, you can work together to build a more supportive dynamic. But if she's unwilling to reflect on her behavior, it's a sign that the relationship may not be fostering your personal growth. Remember, growth flourishes in an environment of encouragement, not constant critique. Surround yourself with people who see your potential and help you reach it, not those who magnify your flaws. 7. It's your fault. Blame is a heavy weight to carry, especially when it's not yours to bear. Imagine being in a relationship where, no matter the situation, you're always at fault. Whether it's a disagreement, a miscommunication, or even a mistake she made, somehow the blame circles back to you. "It's your fault," she says, time and time again. How does that make you feel? Relationships are built on mutual understanding, shared accountability, and teamwork. When one person refuses to take responsibility, the dynamic shifts dramatically. Suddenly, every conflict feels one-sided. You're constantly on the defensive, trying to explain, justify, or even apologize for things beyond your control. Why is this so damaging? Because it erodes trust and fosters resentment. Instead of working through issues together, you're left feeling isolated and burdened with guilt. The ancient Stoics understood the power of responsibility. Epictetus teaches us, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. In this context, his wisdom reminds us that while you can't control her behavior, you can control your response to it. Ask yourself, do I feel like my voice is heard during conflicts? Is there room for both of us to admit mistakes and learn from them? Am I always made to feel guilty, even when I've done nothing wrong? If these questions strike a chord, it's time to address the imbalance. Healthy relationships thrive on accountability. Both partners must be willing to own their actions, apologize when necessary, and work together towards solutions. When blame is constantly shifted onto you, it stifles growth and breeds emotional exhaustion. How do you confront this? Start with a conversation. Share how her blame shifting affects you and emphasize the importance of shared responsibility. If she values the relationship, she'll be open to self-reflection. But if she's unwilling to change, it's a clear sign that the dynamic is unhealthy. Remember, love isn't about assigning blame, it's about finding solutions together. A relationship built on constant fault-finding will crumble under its own weight. You deserve a partnership where accountability is mutual and growth is a shared journey. 8. My ex used to do that. Few things are as unsettling as being compared to an ex. My ex used to do that, she says, perhaps in passing. But the words linger. They create an invisible third party in your relationship, a constant, unspoken comparison that undermines your connection. At first, you might brush it off. Everyone has a past, right? But when the comparisons become frequent, they begin to chip away at your sense of security. Instead of feeling like a valued partner, you're left questioning whether you're enough or if she's still emotionally tied to someone else. Why does she bring up her ex? It could stem from unresolved feelings or simply a habit of referencing the past. But regardless of the reason, the effect is the same. It pulls focus away from the present and places undue pressure on the relationship. How can you truly connect when you're constantly being measured against someone who's no longer there? Stoicism offers a valuable perspective here. Epictetus reminds us, make the best use of what is in your power and take the rest as it happens. You can't change her past or the memories she carries, but you can decide how you respond. The question is, will you let the shadow of her ex dominate your present? Or will you set boundaries to protect your relationship? Consider the following. How do these comparisons make you feel? Have you communicated your discomfort about her frequent mentions of her ex? Does she seem more focused on the past than building a future with you? It's crucial to address this openly. Let her know how these comparisons impact your self-esteem and the relationship. Emphasize that while her past is a part of her story, it shouldn't overshadow your shared journey. If she's willing to acknowledge and change this behavior, it's a positive sign. However, if she continues to dwell on her ex, despite your concerns, it may indicate that she's not fully ready to invest in your relationship. At the end of the day, love flourishes in the present. Comparing your relationship to a previous one prevents both partners from fully embracing what they have. If she can't let go of the past, it might be time to reevaluate your future together. 9. It was nothing serious. Trust is the bedrock of any meaningful relationship. When your partner dismisses a betrayal or breach of trust with the words, "It was nothing serious," it shakes the very foundation of your connection. These words, often spoken in defense of questionable actions, trivialize your emotions and downplay the significance of the issue at hand. Imagine discovering that she's been texting someone inappropriately, or perhaps she's kept something important from you. When confronted, her response is casual, "It didn't mean anything." But does that really make it better? The damage isn't just in the action itself, but in the disregard for how it affects you. The problem with this phrase is that it minimizes your feelings. It suggests that your concerns are unwarranted, that the emotional toll you've experienced is somehow invalid. Stoicism, however, teaches us the importance of prioritizing our own emotional well-being. As Seneca wisely noted, a lack of trust is the first step towards disintegration. When trust is broken, no matter how minor the offense may seem, it creates cracks in the relationship's foundation. Ask yourself, does she acknowledge the hurt caused by her actions, or does she brush it off? Are her apologies sincere, or are they mere attempts to placate you? Can trust truly be rebuilt if issues are consistently downplayed? Rebuilding trust requires honesty, accountability, and effort from both partners. If one person dismisses their missteps, it hinders the healing process. Relationships thrive on mutual respect, and that respect must extend to acknowledging when harm has been done, no matter how small the incident may seem. Here's the truth. Minimizing your pain is a red flag. It shows a lack of empathy and a reluctance to take responsibility. If she values the relationship, she'll recognize the importance of addressing even the seemingly insignificant breaches of trust. If not, it's a sign that her priorities may not align with yours. Don't settle for someone who dismisses your feelings. Trust is hard to rebuild, but it's impossible if the other person isn't willing to acknowledge the cracks. You deserve a relationship where your concerns are validated and your emotional health is a priority. 10. You're cheating. Accusations of infidelity are like poison to a relationship, especially when they come without any basis. You're cheating, she says, perhaps out of insecurity or fear. At first you might brush it off, thinking she's just being protective of the relationship. But over time, these accusations can corrode the trust and respect you've worked so hard to build. What's behind this? Often, baseless accusations stem from her own insecurities. Maybe she's been hurt before, or perhaps she projects her fears onto you. But here's the thing, it's not your responsibility to constantly defend yourself against unfounded suspicions. Imagine living under a constant cloud of doubt. Every time you go out with friends, every unanswered text, every change in your routine is met with suspicion. It's not just exhausting, it's damaging. Instead of focusing on building a deeper connection, you're stuck proving your innocence over and over again. Stoicism offers valuable insight here. As Epictetus said, first say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. In other words, stay true to your values. If you're committed to honesty and fidelity, your actions will reflect that. But if your partner refuses to see it, despite your transparency, the issue lies beyond your control. Here's what to consider. Do her accusations come from a place of unresolved past trauma? Are you able to have open, honest conversations about trust? Does she take steps to address her insecurities, or does she let them fester? Healthy relationships are built on trust, not constant suspicion. If you've done nothing to warrant her doubt, these accusations can quickly become toxic. It's important to address the root of her insecurity. Encourage her to communicate her fears and consider seeking outside support, such as counseling. However, if the accusations persist despite your best efforts, it may be time to reassess the relationship. You deserve to be in a partnership where trust is mutual and unconditional. Love cannot flourish in an environment of constant doubt. Conclusion: your journey to healthy relationships. We've explored 10 phrases that should serve as red flags in any relationship. These words may seem small, but their impact on your emotional well-being and the health of your connection is significant. From accusations of infidelity to dismissing your feelings, each one chips away at the foundation of mutual respect, trust, and love. Now, it's your turn. Reflect on your own relationships. Are you experiencing any of these red flags? Have you noticed patterns that drain your emotional energy rather than nurture your growth? Recognizing these signs is the first step toward making a change. Remember, Stoicism teaches us to focus on what is within our control. You can't change another person's behavior, but you can choose how you respond to it. Prioritize your self-worth, set boundaries, and don't be afraid to walk away from relationships that no longer serve your growth. If you found value in this discussion, I'd love to hear from you. Share your thoughts, experiences, or even your own relationship insights in the comments below. Let's create a community where we learn and grow together. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more content like this. Together, we'll navigate the complexities of relationships with wisdom, strength, and clarity. Here's to healthier, more fulfilling connections, because you deserve nothing less. Thank you for joining me on this journey, and I'll see you in the next video.